ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिर्वोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यस्साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ. So, we have started chapter 3 and the story also. With the story which has conveyed a lot of things. I mean 6 messages also have been conveyed. We have seen also those messages. So we'll just quickly revise it. Brahma devebhyo vijigye tasya brahmano vijaye devaha amahiyanta. The very first mantra of this third chapter. So there was a war between devas and asuras for the control of heaven. And Brahma devebhyo vijigye. Brahman won the victory for these devas and over the asuras. And in the victory of that Brahman, devas were glorified because Deva got the honor because even though behind victory there was a invisible Parmeshwara, but Vishrotrasya Shrotram Manaso Manaha, everything works because of that. So hand of the hand, suppose they have fought with the hand, they might have used their brain behind the victory, everything, Manaso Manaha. So ultimately Ishvara alone is there for everything to function. And therefore, because of Ishvara alone, they have got a victory. But since Parmeshwara was not visible, and it is not visible, why it was? Parmeshwara is not visible. And so Devas were propitiated. And Amahiyanta means they were propitiated, they were glorified. Then in mantra 2, it says, Taikshanta asmakam eva ayam vijayah asmakam eva ayam mahima iti तद्धैषां विजज्ञौ तेभ्यः प्रादुर्बभूव तन्नव्यजानत किमिदं यक्षमिति. ते ऐक्षन्त, devas thought, what? अस्माकम् एव अयं विजयः, अस्माकम् एव अयं महिमा. Well, they thought they were solely responsible for their victory. So victory and glory belong to us and only to us. Eva. So means it only belongs to us. They negated the role of anyone else in the victory. So they failed to recognize, that's all. Shrotrasya Shrotram they failed to recognize. That's what it wanted to convey. That's how I said, after chapter 2 is over, yet the people who have not understood Shrotrasya Shrotram, for them the story will definitely help. For all of us, It's not that simple that people will understand. No one is there in creamy layer, basically. No. Nothing. We should not have any kind of a sense of low. We should not feel low about that. Because basically everyone has the difficulty. Shrotrasya Shrotram, everyone is identified with the Shrotra. No one is identified with the Shrotrasya Shrotram. It's not that easy. If a goal of life, the goal of life, if that is easy, people would have just got it. It's not that easy. Because since Anadi Kalam, since beginningless time, everyone is identified with the Shrotra, the organ. And therefore, definitely, because ignorance is Anadi, Therefore, identification, adhyasa, etc. also is anadi, and therefore it is not easy that it is going to go immediately. It's not going to go. And therefore, everyone requires that. And therefore, it is, so Devas did not understood. Devas means the Indriyas. Could you follow? Indriyas means Devas. They did not follow. They could not understand that. And so they thought, well, because of us, this person is able to live, this person is able to function, this person is able to get glorification because of us only. Ultimately, Shrotrasya Shrotam, behind this body, mind, sense complex, well, the very existence of body, mind, sense complex, the consciousness which is there in body, mind, sense complex, and because of that only everything functions, but they did not know it. So we won and it is our glory, we deserve this worship, etc. etc. And well, tad daisham vijagnyau, and well, that Brahman, that yet Paramatma knew their thinking, tad daisham esham devanam, tadha esham devanam vijagnyau. Vijagnyau means, he understood this false notion of the Devas, pride of the Devas, and definitely then as he assumed a special form for the purpose, for a special purpose. What is the purpose? To remove the pride. And so Ishvara took a special form. That's called Avatara, divine incarnation. And then, Devas who were celebrating their victory did not know who was this celestial form that suddenly appeared before them. And so, and then they were wondering, who is this Yaksha iti? Kimidam Yakshamiti? Well, so they did not recognize this celestial form, and they were asking to each other, perhaps, that, well, who is this Yaksha? So Yaksha is a Prasiddha right in front of them, but still there is ignorance about it. That's how it is. Atma is self-revealing, right? And then everyone should claim self-existence, self-revealing. You don't require any means of knowledge. Person can always, tell, he can have an excuse. Well, I don't have a means of knowledge. How will I know myself? Well, but you are self-revealing. You don't require any means of knowledge. So, self-revealing, it is prasiddham. It is well known. Right in front of you. It is in the form of you itself. But yet you don't know. That is ignorance. That's how it is. So, Indriyas, etc., the Devatas, they need not have, they are all conscious because of the conscious being which is present. And it is self-revealing, self-existent. But they, even though it is self-present, self-revealing, yet people have ignorance about it. That's what it means. So self-revealing Atma is as though covered. So self-revealing Atma is as though ignored. We are ignorant of that self-revealing Atma. Anyway, and therefore, that is how there is a there is a jignasa, there is a desire to know. When something is totally covered, you will not have a jignasa. And when something is partially covered, you will have a jignasa. What is it? This is how it is. And therefore, in the dark, semi-darkness, there is a rope. If rope is totally known, there will not be a jignasa. If rope is totally covered under the darkness, no jignasa. But partially covered, partially revealing. That is what the problem is. So then jignasa arises. So something is there. What is it then? That's a problem. Something is there that is a general, general knowledge, samanya jnana. But what it is, that is a vishesha jnana, that is not known, and therefore there is a jignasa. That's how these devatas have also jignasa. And also it is very, very significant. Everyone is really searching for Brahman. That's the most significant thing. Anyway, and so one wants to know. If one finds oneself, something very significant and yet one doesn't know, then definitely there is a jignasa. Otherwise, we don't have a jignasa for everything. I have never jignasa how many leaves are there in that tree, in front of me. I have never jignasa. You may have a jignasa, but then this kind of jignasa I have not have. So, but basically, and how many, holes are there in a given leaf? How many pores, how through which, anyway. So all this kind of jignasa we don't have. But if something which is very significant in my life and I'm missing, and then if I know it well, there will be a meaning in my life. Definitely there is a jignasa. So Brahman is something which one cannot miss. Everyone is missing, and that's how their whole life is shunya. That's how we say that is how even in the last chapter it was very well said. If you don't know this Brahman in this life, the loss would be infinite. Infinite loss. If one understands this statement, one will always try to know this Brahman, because no one wants an infinite loss. Here and there some loss I can bear, but this infinite loss, and which and this is the only life when I can gain that, this infinite, then definitely one is having a jignasa. And it is self-revealing, so it is prasiddha. So yaksha is prasiddham, it is right there in front. But what a yaksha is, what is his swarupam? Not. That is how it is. So this is very, very significant. More and more you see in the story, more you will find you can connect it to Upanishad, because it is an Upanishadic story, and so it has to convey the message of Upanishad. Anyway, then third mantra says, Te agnim abruvan jatavedah etad vijanihi kimidam yakshamiti. And therefore Devas definitely said to Agni, just a minute. So Devas said to Agni, O Jataveda, please find out what this yaksha is. And Agni replied, Tatha iti tathastu. I mean, okay, I will find it out. And here it said Jataveda, they addressed Agni as a Jataveda. Jataveda means what? The one who, because of whose grace one gains all forms of wealth. Who is a karma phaladata, you can say, one who can make you wealthy, etc. you can say. And how Swamiji, how Agni Devata makes a person wealthy? Because you perform Vedic rituals. And and then definitely you invoke varieties of the devatas, etc. in the Agni. And Agni only carries them to various devatas. So definitely through yajnas, varieties of yajnas, you can gain varieties of the wealth, varieties of karma phala. And therefore without Agni there is no yajna, we can't think of. And therefore Agni is considered as a, giver of all the wealth, whatever kind of a wealth you want. So well, that is how it is called Jataveda. Jatam te vedam dhanam yasmat iti Jatavedah. That's how it has been defined. And well, here, and also Agni has been told among many devatas, Agni was told to find out who the yaksha is, because ultimately, and therefore, because Agni is the one who can throw a light upon, the object, basically, and otherwise you will never know. So it removes the darkness, ignorance, etc. And so it has been told that you may find out who is this yaksha. Identity of yaksha has been told to be found out. So they approach Agni first, and Agni thought, well, this is not a big job for me. It's a simple job, and I will find out. So then he said, Tathastu. Okay, let it be so, no problem. Then in mantra 4 it says, Tad abhyadravat tam abhyavadat kositi Agnirva ahamasmi iti abravit Jataveda ahamasmi iti. Tad abhyadravat, well, Agni approached. Abhyadravat means he approached yaksha. He went very near to the yaksha. And as he went near to the yaksha, and he asked, and who are you, etc. Before Agni asked that, well, yaksha asked him, Tam abhyavadata. Tam means Agni. Yaksha Agnim abhyavadata. Yaksha asked him, who are you? And then Agni answered, of course. What was the question? Kositi, who are you? Then Agnihiva ahamasmi iti abravit. Agnihi abravit. You have to connect that way. See, always whenever you make a sentence, this kind of thing will be there in Sanskritam. That verb will be somewhere and the subject will be somewhere. First you should connect a verb and a subject. Like Devadattaha gacchati. So Devadattaha vanam rathena and etc. Several things may be dhanaya, and then somewhere gacchati will be there. So first connect. That is called basic sentence, in which a verb and a subject is connected. So what is a verb and verb? Gacchati. What is a subject? Who goes? Karta. So Devadatta. So Devadatta gacchati you have to first write. That you should connect. Either write or you have to bring in your mind these two things. And then add whatever other things are there in that. So Devadatta vanam gacchati, Devadatta dhanaya gacchati, etc. Devadatta gramat gacchati, etc. etc. Devadatta gramam gacchati or nagaram gacchati, whatever. So whatever, this is how you have to connect. So here also Agnihi va ahamasmi iti abravit. So Agnihi abravit, Agni said, Agni replied, Agni answered, what? Ahamasmi iti. Jataveda va ahamasmi iti. Well, I am Agni and I am Jataveda, etc. I am well-known Agni. So why? Agnir va. Why as such you mean, Phil Swamiji? Va means or, athava. No. Here va is vai actually. Because of sandhi it has been written like va. So and vai indicates a prasiddhi. Famous, well-known. Whenever vai shabda comes, ha shabda comes, ha, vai, all this indicates a prasiddhi. These are the particles in language which indicates a prasiddhi, well-known. So Agni vai aham asmi iti. Oh, I am well-known Agni. You don't know me? Etc. And I am Jataveda. I have already told you, I am a bestower of wealth, etc. That is what he replied. And he should have told, I am Agni. But no, I am a bestower of wealth also. That shows pride. And where pride is there, Yaksha will not reveal to itself. Yaksha will not reveal who he is. And therefore, and of course, he is going to get another blow also. So Yaksha further asked. What asked? In Mantra 5 it says, Tasmin tvai kim viryamiti api idam sarvam daheyam yadidam prathivyamiti. Oh. So Yaksha asked, what is the power? This is a very typical sentence. Tasmin tvai kim viryam. Kim viryam means what power you have. But tasmin tvai, what is the power tvai? What is the power in you? Tvam, tvam means you. Tvaim is a seventh case. In you. So what is the power in you? And tasmin, of such greatness, etc. It's a very typical sentence, but we can translate in simple way that what power do you have? That's all. What kind of a power do you have? Because you said I am Jataveda and I am well-known Agni, and therefore you must be having you must be very powerful. That's how you become very famous. Okay, what's the power in you of such greatness? And then Agni answered, we have to supply that because it is not said here Agnihi uvacha. Agnihi abravit, it is not told like that. So we have to supply certain things. Api means if there is an occasion or if there is a necessity for burning anything, idam sarvam daheyam. I can burn everything. Idam means whatever is in front. Entire creation. Sarvam daheyam. Yadidam pruthivyam. On this Pruthivyam is seventh case of Prithvi. And so Pruthivyam yadidam, whatever is there on this Prithvi, sarvam daheyam. I can burn everything. Burn down. And api, I have told you already, this is also very, very specific thing. Api means if there is a necessity, if there is an occasion, if someone calls me that could you do this? Well, I can do that. So if you are asking me what is your power, then I am telling you this is my power. So whatever is combustible, and of course whatever is not even combustible also can be affected by Agni, but whatever is combustible will turn to ashes immediately. Anyway, now let's see the mantra number 6. Tasmai trunam nidadhau etad daheti tada upapreyaya sarvajavena tanna shashaka dadhum satata eva nivavrute na etad ashakam vijnatum yadetad yakshamiti. I think from this mantra we have to see perhaps. We have seen 6 mantra and 5 mantras, and 6th we have just started it also. Tasmai trunam nidadhau. Tasmai, to that Agni. Well, so for him, except Tasmai is a 4th case. For him means to him. Well, trunam nidadhau. Trunam means a blade of grass. Nidadhau was placed. Yaksha placed a blade of grass to him, in front of him. Etaddaha iti. Etaddaha. Well, burn this. Etad is equal to this. And daha. Tvam daha. That's a imperative mood. etaddaha iti, well, burn this. And iti indicates, I have told you, that's a quotation, and that's a quotation by whom? By Yaksha. Then, I mean, that is where the inverted comma is over. Tad upapreyaya sarvajavena. And then Agni, of course, well, and approached. Tad means trunam. Upapreyaya means approached. Agni upapreyaya, Agnihi upapreyaya, Agni approached, trunam, Agni approached that grass. And sarva javena. So, well, Agni must have casually approached, perhaps, the blade of grass. You know, and actually Agni should not have ventured into this. He should have taken an objection. What are you telling me? I mean, you know, this is like what? Like a Prime Minister Modi is there. Now next election comes. And then by the party, suppose the BJP party tells him, that Mr. Modi, why don't you fight a election, this councillor, Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation, one councillor is there. Why don't you fight against him? So, and then what Modi will tell, you can understand. So this is what it is. So Trunam Nidham, if you have said something, that's a different thing. I mean, this is an insult by itself. In the normal course, Agni should not have brushed, Agni should have brushed it aside, but instead he found himself obeying that yaksha. That's what I wanted to convey. That itself, he could not say no. That is what people say. Swamiji, I just could not tell no to that person. I could not just object to that person. I don't know. But I become mum in his presence. I keep, many people, especially like it happens, you know, in a case of when you have so much reverence for a person, then also it happens. Even if you went with so many questions, but you were like Puja Swami or somebody is there, maybe, I don't know, but it happened to me several times that I go with several questions in Coimbatore, that I will ask questions. But in his presence, I just could not speak at all. So it happens. So here, in presence of Yaksha, he just could not object it. He could say, what are you doing? You are showing me a blade of grass, and that too dry grass. And that is Trunam. Trunam means a dry, basically. Dry grass. And placing a guy in front of me and telling me, the hum is what, you know? It's just a command. Burn this, like that. Burn this, like. It's an imperative mood. Imperative mood is generally, like I tell you. Jalamanaya, if I say to, this is Sanskritam. Jalamanaya, bring water. It's an order, it's a command. That kind of a thing. Daha. There I said Anaya, Jalam Piba. I tell to a child, Jalam Piba, drink water. So this is command. So Yaksha literally command, and he is not an ordinary person. Agni means what? Present everywhere in Adi Bhauta, Adhyatma, Adidaiva. I mean, he is Adidaiva, etc. I mean, it is just a marvelous entity. So exalted Jiva he is. Deva is not an ordinary entity. And Yaksha tells him, makes him like, you know, in Gujarati called the kacharo karya. So this is, anyway. So in the normal course, Agni should have brushed aside, but instead he found himself obeying the Yaksha. Very presence of Yaksha, when he appeared there as a lightning kind of a thing, there itself, all the devas were spellbound, looking at him itself. Where is the question of having an audience and then, following him or following his order, etc. So Agni himself did not know exactly why he was drawn to this, to oblige for burning. Why he should not. But anyway, this is how Yaksha is. And such a small glory of such Yaksha, Ishvara, appears in many people in this creation also, right now. Many people become leaders, and whatever they say, people just follow, because that's how they command. They did not do any special, tricks that let me control all these people. Let me bring into my fold. No, merely by presence they become leaders. Merely by presence, everyone follows whatever he says. There are people, I know many people in Ahmedabad, but just by mere presence, If he is not there, people won't work. If he is sitting there in a chair, everyone works. He does not even tell that you do this. People do. And not out of some kind of a compulsion. By love they do. That's a glory. It's a vibhuti. It's a Ishvara's vibhuti. Ishvara is just a manifestation of all. Ishvara means this Aishwaryam. This is called Aishwaryam. This is a vibhuti. Excellent thing. Very, 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 in my opinion, it is very, very effulgent, very marvelous. I don't have many words in English, but this is how I express to you. It is something very, such a deva can, he himself did not know exactly why he was drawn to oblige what he said, what Yaksha said. Agni casually approached the blade of grass and then thinking it would burn. It's just grass. But blade of grass did not burn. It remained there as it was. And then Agni then made an attempt. Earlier there was no attempt. He just approached there and it should burn. But no. Nothing happened. Even after some little effort. Poo, nothing happened. Then poo, nothing happened. So like that it is. So then he was very angry, naturally. Because in presence of Yaksha, a small grass also was not burnt. So blazing with the anger, he attacked the grass with all the force to burn it. That's what mantra says, Sarva Javena. With all efforts, it tried, but it did not. The grass would not just burn. So Agni then attacked with many tongues. In Mundaka Upanishad, all the tongues have been described, etc., etc. Kali, Karali, Manojavacha, Sudhumra, etc., etc. There are 7 tongues of the Agni, and with all the tongues it tried, but so we can say even blue and red and whatnot. So nothing happened. Then he thought, let me bake it. Bake it means let me sit on it. And then he sat on it and then got up after giving it enough time, and only to find to his dismay that the piece of grass did not even change its color. And therefore Agni knew that he was up against someone who was not an ordinary. He immediately found out. These people are basically, because of pride, the sattva has been covered. So always one has to be very careful. A pride can occur even in this spiritual path, so-called spiritual. We should not say spiritual path, but let's say in this journey also pride occurs. We have a spiritual ego. The people who are doing penance, they have that kind of ego. They have. We are able to do so many fast, and other people are not able to do. Someone does a fast for 1 day, somebody does for 7 days, somebody does for 15 days. And then person develops a ego. And he tells in public also sometimes that I did it for 15 days. I did it. Or a person gives a charity. And they say, we have done so much charity to this organization. So all this brings that shows the ego, pride. Then definitely all these things will not come to your help. It may be a dhanam, or it may be a tapasya, a penance. It may be any kind of yajna. Yajna means with certain attitude. You have done a actions, like a little, let's say, social services. You have done with a great, sacrifice. Especially in this situation, pandemic. There are people, yesterday only I read one heavyweight champion. He was helping others for burying whoever died in the COVID-19. And then he found several deaths, not here in India, I am talking about. He found several people died, and there was anger against their relatives. There was, so much of people were not coming near to the dead body and everything, naturally. And then he thought, let me do let me help for even burying the. Earlier he was helping other way, other patients and everything. I'm providing food and this and. Now he thought this work nobody will do. And not only that, when they will go with the dead body even to a cremating ground, they all other nearby people who are living in the locality, they were opposing. And so day by day found that it becomes very, very in an undignified way. The people who died were buried. So then he thought, let me do, because people know me well, and let me initiate this on my own. Then he joined one particular organization, and now he is doing daily, daily. And then in between, of course, he is doing some job also. So then Saturday, Sundays, and sometime he takes a leave from the job and he is doing. I saw yesterday his interview. By the way, he's a Muslim guy, and help others to bury. Help this, especially for this burying the dead body of this from this infection. It's a very big thing, because there is all the time there is that danger is always there that he will be affected. There are several people who are affected by like this, but still he says, well, let the death come, but I would like to do. Now such a thing, if suppose I am doing, then perhaps I may develop a ego also. Yeah, let's see, all other people are not doing, I am doing something which others are not doing. I am a great help to the society, etc. So pride is a very, very slippery, it just enters. And that's how devas means who are basically abided into sattva, Devi Sampatti. That is how they are devas. To such people, even the pride has entered from the back door. And so, then they know every time they have won with the Ishvara's help, they have to run to, either Brahma, Vishnu, etc. You will find in Purana always. And then they have to surrender to them, and then Ishvara comes to their rescue, and that is how, and then they won over Asuras. It has happened every time. For getting the Amritam from that ocean, etc. also, Milky Ocean. There also they needed help of Ishvara. And drinking poison in bringing out the Amritam, and that is been taken up by Vishnu. So to be, in order to be saved from the Asuras, etc. Several things are there. And every step you will find devas have got the help of Ishvara to win over Asuras. But they forgot. So asmakam eva ayam vijaya. Asmakam eva mahima. This is our glory only, eva. Our glory only. Our victory only. Anyway, so Agni knew that he was up against someone who was not an ordinary. So he went back to devas, and he told them he told his narrative, but not entire narrative, something he has to hide, that this was placed to me, and Yaksha told me to burn, etc. He would not tell them. He simply said, well, na etad ashakam vignatum, yadetad yakshamiti. Ashakam. Shak dhatu is there. Shak dhatu, the root shak means to be able to be capable. So, ashakam. Well, na etad ashakam, I am not able to, vignatum ashakam, I am not able to know this, who the Yaksha is. It was not possible for me to find out who the Yaksha was. Anyway, let's go to mantra 7. Athava yumabruvan vayo etad vijanihi kimetad yakshamiti tatheti. So the devas say to Vayu, hey Vayo. Vayo means definitely it's a sambodhana, address. So Guru, Guravaha, hey Guru, like that. So hey Vayo. So devas say to Vayu, oh Vayu, please find out what this Yaksha is, etc. Atha Vayu Mabruvan. So then came the turn of Vayu, basically, the deity of air. And other devatas asked Vayu to find out the Sarupam of Yaksha, identity of Yaksha. Vayu is subtler than Agni, and therefore Agni has a form. Vayu does not have form. This Vayu is more pervasive. We have seen also all this. Compared to earth, water is more pervasive. Compared to water, fire is more pervasive. And fire can even reach into the space. Water cannot reach like that into the space. But anyway, so fire is more pervasive compared to fire, air is more pervasive, air compared to air, space is more pervasive, compared to space, consciousness is most pervasive, all pervasive. That's how the thing is. As the attributes become less, it becomes more and more pervasive. More the attributes, less pervasive. Less attributes, more pervasive. That's how it is. Anyway, so Vayu is subtler than Agni, And Agni has a form, Vayu does not have form, so he can move anywhere. So Vayu thought he could do this job very simple for me. Vayu is one who sustains everybody, who provides life to every living organism. So he accepted this assignment. And even though it is a very simple task, but he also had he had that doubt, because Agni failed. And he's also Devata, Vayu also is Devata. So little doubt also was there. But anyway, he felt that he could accomplish it. So he said, well, tatheti, tathastu, well, I will go and find out who the Yaksha is. Mantra 8. Tadabhyadravata tamabhyavadata kositi vayurva ahamasmiti abravit matarishva va ahamasmiti. So Vayu approached Tadabhyadravata. So Vayu approached that Yaksha. Tad means here Yaksha. Vayu approached that Yaksha. Tam Abhyavadata. And then, well, definitely, yes, Yaksha asked to Vayu, Kositi, who are you? So Vayurva ahamasmiti abravit. So Vayu answered, I am well known Vayu. And Matarishva va ahamasmiti. I am well known as a Matarishva. Matari Shvayati. Matari means Akashi. Shvayati, Gachati. Iti Matarishva. So in Akasha, in this space, well, I can move very freely. Shvayati, Gachati means here moves very freely. So one who freely moves in the sky is called Matarishva. So Vayu approached the Yaksha to find out who it was. And Yaksha was still unknown. He did not conform to anything so far known. So Yaksha was not available for a definition for one to categorically arrive at. And naturally, Yaksha is Yaksha. So it is not, he does not belong to any category. He doesn't have a jati. Ishvara has no jati. That is how we worship Ishvara in a neuter gender also. We worship Ishvara in a feminine gender also. We worship Ishvara in a masculine gender also. Shiva and Shakti both together. So either you worship Ishvara you can invoke Ishvara in a Shakti. You can invoke Ishvara in a Shiva or as a Ishvara. Either way. We have all forms. But where is neuter gender? Brahman is a neuter gender. And therefore, all the genders. Why Ishvara has no gender? Because Ishvara has manifested in all the genders. Therefore, Ishvara will not have any gender. If Ishvara is in masculine, then he will manifest in all masculine gender, masculine forms. Yeah. If Ishvara has he feminine basically, he is a woman, let's say, then he will only manifest in all feminine forms. But it's not so. In creation, you find all kinds of forms, all forms, and therefore the cause of that, material cause of that, will definitely be. Ishvara must be free from any gender. So you cannot categorize them in form of a jati, Stri, Purusha, etc. And then he doesn't have any attributes also. Then also no categorization. And then he doesn't do any kind of a function. Well, so you cannot categorize in terms of function also. Oh, he is doing this thing, and he is not doing that thing. You cannot categorize that. Ishvara has no relation with anybody, and so you cannot call as a father and mother and son or you can invoke him in any relationship. One invokes Ishvara in a child form, Krishna. One invokes Ishvara in a mother form. One invokes Ishvara in a father form. Anyone. That's how. He can be invoked in any form, any kind of a relation. You can relate to Ishvara the way you like. And therefore he is available as a teacher, as a guru, etc. Many ways. And therefore he himself is free from any relationship. And so this is how, so Yaksha was not available for a definition for one to categorically arrive, so to bring under any jati or any vyakti or anything. So for the Yaksha could not be classed as a Gandharva, and I told you, Kinnara, etc. Manushya, Deva, animal, etc. Nothing. So this particular knowledge, about the Yaksha was not there. Everyone knew that there is a Yaksha, but who the Yaksha is, the identity of Yaksha is not known to anybody. So as Vayu was looking at this Yaksha, he approached, right? Abhyadravat. So he approached and he was looking at Yaksha and about to ask, who are you? Instead, the Yaksha asked him in a very compelling voice that, who are you? So Vayu might have thought of retorting back, what a question you are asking, etc. Well, are you breathing or not? So I am present in you. You are breathing and I am present in you. But he restrained. He could not answer. This is what I am telling you. They can answer. There are people who can talk back or whatever, retort. I mean, but he is not able to do that job. So he restrained himself and then answered, well, I am famous Vayu and I am the one who makes everybody live, and any living being, well, has to depend upon me. And Matarishva, I do not remain. So Vayu means, Vati Gacchati iti Vayu. That's one name. And Matarishva means Matari Akashe Shvayati Gacchati iti Matarishva. One who moves freely in space without any hindrance. Vati Gacchati means also one who constantly moves. That's called Vayu. Va dhatu is there in second conjugation. From that the word Vayu also has come. The Panini has derived that way. Anyway, so Va means, and the forms are like this, Vati, etc. So Va means to go. Vati is equal to Gacchati. And here Vati Gacchati is iti Vayu. Well, definitely it indicates, that's how I have told you once, in between, that Sada Gatihi also is a name for the Vayu. Sada Gatihi. So all the time moving. We feel sometimes that there is no air, Swamiji. I am feeling so much discomfort here. There is no air at all. But on one part of the world you may feel there is no air. On other part, of course, there is air for breathing, but in form of a Vayu you don't find, wind, etc. But it will be there somewhere else. So it all the time moves around. All the time. Constantly. That is how Vayu is a symbol of Shakti. Shakti. All the time moving means what? It's a lot of power. And that's how both the children of Vayu also are very powerful. One is Bhima and other is Hanumanji. Both are very powerful. Anyway, so here it says, I do not remain in one place, I keep moving. All this he is telling his glory to Yaksha. So, Aham, the word Aham is there in the mantra. Vayurva Ahamasmiti, Matarishva Ahamasmiti. So, Aham indicates Aham in the mantra indicates Vayu's pride. So, I am known as a Matarishva. So, I am such a great person that I go to places where no one else can enter. That's correct. No one else can enter. Okay. Yaksha then asks the same question which he asked to Agni. Tasmin Tvai kim viryam iti apidagam sarvam adadiya yadidam prathivyam iti. Tasmin Tvai kim viryam, we have seen, right? So Yaksha asks, what is the strength in you of such greatness? You are telling that I am so great and I am Matarishva, etc. So what is the strength in you? And then, so Vayu's answered, here also Api is there, right? So means if there is an occasion for that, for lifting anything, then Sarvam Adadiya, Yadidam Prithivya. Sarvam Adadiya means I can lift anything, whatever is there on the earth. Anything it can lift. If there is an occasion. Api means if there is an occasion for that, for lifting anything, then I can definitely, with my own strength, I can lift anything. Taking anything that is here on the earth, I can take it, I can get it into the space. So Vayu is a god of strength, we know also. And we have seen in the form of this Devata, Vayu Devata. I have told you also while describing the story, a hurricane or cyclone, super cyclone, all this, whirlwind, etc. Anyway, when Vayu said that this is my strength, then Yaksha responded as before. Placed that trunam, placed that blade of grass in front of him and said, well, etadadatsa, lift this, etc. So that is mantra number 10. Tasmai trunam nidadhau आदत्स्वेति तदुपप्रेयाय सर्वजवेन तन्न शशाक आदातुं स तत एव निववृते न एतदशकं विज्ञातुं यदेतद्यक्षमिति. Tasmai, to him, to this Vayu. So Yaksha placed Yaksha had that small, blade of grass, same blade of grass that was placed in front of Agni, the same blade of grass. Well, he asked Vayu to lift that grass, the blade of grass. So this was too small a job for him, and he need not have attempted, but as under the spell of Yaksha, well, he approached that piece of grass, thinking that it would fly. I will not do anything. I should just approach it and it will fly. But it did not even stir. Then Vayu attacked it from all sides and with all his forms, hurricane and cyclone and everything. You can think what it will be we can have a sense of humor thinking that someone is perspiring so much and with all these forms and trying to lift that a small blade of grass and nothing happened. So even to say while Vayu attacked a blade of grass is a very silly thing, but anyway. So he did, and he was not able to even shake it. So whatever happened to Agni is happened to Vayu also. And Vayu also made a retreat with his head down and went back to Devas. When he went there, of course, he stood up very nicely as if he had a very nice audience with the Yaksha, etc. But he said that, well, na etad ashakam vignatum yadetad yakshamiti. Well, he said that it was not possible to know what this Yaksha was. This ashakam is a verb, by the way. Don't think it is a noun. Ashakam is a verb. Aham na ashakam. This is a sentence. Aham na ashakam. It was not possible for me to find out who the Yaksha was. Kimetad yakshamiti. What this Yaksha was, what is his identity, what is his swarupam, etc. I could not found out. So he also did not narrate what happened. But Agni knew what Vayu had faced. So both of them looked at each other and and with a certain understanding. And Agni must have told him the same blade of grass, and he also said with the eyes, yeah, it was the same blade of grass. Both knew what has happened to them. Anyway, mantra number 11. Atha Indram Abruvan Maghavan Etadvijanihi Kimetadyakshamiti Tatheti Tadabhyadravata Tasmatirodadhe. Well, after Vayu and Agni returned without knowing anything about this Yaksha, the other devas pleaded with Indra, to go and find out about this Yaksha. Indra, this chief of all the devas, was addressed here as a Maghavan. Same thing. Yaksha and Maghavan both it is the same meaning. Adorable. So, one who deserves worship. Yaksha also means one who deserves worship. Maghavan also means one who deserves worship. Why Indra was called as a Maghavan? Because he has defeated all the Asuras. Basically Indra means he's a Adhishthan Devata of Bahu. You know very well. So we have seen in Tattva Bodha. So he is a presiding deity of the hands and that strength. Bahu means strength. Arms means strength. One always protects oneself first with the hands. Then he employs some other means. That is how in a Purusha Suktam also, while describing about that Virat Purusha, these Kshatriyas were called the hands of the Virat Purusha. Bahu Rajanya Kritaha. Bahu Rajanya. Rajanya means Kshatriya. So basically this in the entire creation here, which is described as a Virat Purusha, who protects this society? Kshatriyas protect the society. And that's so Kshatriyas are considered as a Bahu, arms of the Virat Purusha. Head is basically a Brahmana. So head of the Virat Purusha is this Brahmana, and the arms of that Virat Purusha is this Kshatriya. So Kshatriyas protect the society. Kshatriya means strength. Same way here, Bhagavan, but Kshatriya also have a strength from whom? From Indra. Indra is basically Adhishthan Devata, whose grace the arms have a strength. And anyone who protects oneself will first brings forth his hand. And therefore, definitely he is adorable. And because of his strength, which is present in other devatas also, and so they have won the war. And therefore, then of course, but he was told as a Bhagavan by all the devatas that may you, O Indra, please find out what this Yaksha is, but then he was addressed as a Bhagavan. And Indra, thinking that he would really succeed, confidently approached the Yaksha. Well, so Atha Indram Abruvan Bhagavan Etad Vijanihi Kimetad Yakshamiti. That is told by our devatas. Tatha iti tathas. Okay, I will find out. Tad abhyadravat, and Indra approached Yaksha. Tasmat tirodade. But as he went near the Yaksha, Yaksha just disappeared. At least Agni and Vayu, had some audience. They could talk to Yaksha also. But Indra even could not even get to see his being closely. He could not, he approached near, but before he could see what the Yaksha is, Yaksha disappeared. So this is like, that person whom you want to talk to, but then, he slams the door right on your face upon seeing you. Well, this kind of situation. So even though Indra stood there, but Yaksha disappeared. But Indra did not feel humiliated. He did not feel humiliated. Well, this Agni and Vayu felt, but he did not feel. His pride that I am Indra, etc., just vanished. This is Indra. That is why you will find, even in Prajapati Vidya in Chandogya Upanishad, Indra and Virochan both approached Prajapati. Because Prajapati did a big announcement on a social media that there is such a knowledge I am having, and by knowing which one can gain all objects of enjoyment simultaneously, yugapat. And so Indra had sense of enjoyments. Indra had lots of objects of enjoyment, and Virochana also had. Virochana is a king of Asuras. Indra is a king of Devas. Both were enjoying so many powers and so many objects. But by listening to this Prajapati or Pitaji's, the father's this voice or father's WhatsApp message, that whatever it is. So there is some knowledge. If you know that vastu, then you gain all the objects of enjoyment simultaneously. And that is what even Taittiriya Upanishad also said. Sarvan kaman samashnuta. Yeah. So Sarvan kaman samashnuta. Yugapat. All the objects of enjoyment are, available to you simultaneously. But it wants to indicate that any object of enjoyment, whatever the joy it gives, that is your nature, etc. That we don't want to go into right now in this. But then, that was a thing. And then listening to this Pitaji's message, father's message, both rushed to Brahmaloka. But then Virochana had attended one class and he dropped. That's all. So Prajapati has only 2 students. At least I have, there are few students more here. I am really even more fortunate compared to Prajapati or Brahmaji. He had only 2 students, and then one student just attended one class and he thought it's enough. I don't want. So he went. That is Virochana. Indra really, he also came to know Prajapati revealed the Atma as a Brahman with the help of this same Prakriya like Mandukya. Same Prakriya. Avasthatraya Viveka. Very beautiful. For your knowledge, it is Prajapati Vidya is in 8th chapter and 7th khanda. to the 12th khanda. So that is Prajapati Vidya. And 1 to 6th, khandas are basically Dahar Vidya, same thing, but that is Upasana. Here it is knowledge from 7 to 12, same thing. Anyway, so what I am saying is that it has been revealed as Avasthatraya Prakriya and Avasthatraya Sakshi. Brahman is revealed or Atma is revealed as Avasthatraya Sakshi. But what Prajapati did was, he said this, this Sthula Sharir Abhimani or Vishwa is a Atma. By knowing Vishwa, you can gain all the objects of enjoyment. And Indra went. He accepted teaching, but then he went and sat in some solitude, and he found this could not be. Because the Vishwa had several problems. Vishwa had a headache, Vishwa had a backache, and Vishwa had everything. And knowing that Vishwa, how can one gain everything in life, all objects of enjoyment? I think there is some problem. So he went back and then said, I am not able to accept this teaching. That Sthula Sharir Abhimani Atma is the Brahman. I cannot accept it. And by knowing such a Atma, one can become free from all the pain, everything, sorrow, and one can gain all of the objects of enjoyment. Well, I am not. Then, then Prajapati said, go for 32 years, do penance and come back. And then he went for another 32 years. Of course, before it itself, when both approached, Indra and Virochana approached Prajapati and said, we want that knowledge. You said, no, that you have given us a WhatsApp, you send a WhatsApp. Yeah, that knowledge we want, because we want all objects of enjoyment simultaneously. Then Prajapati said, well, I will give you that knowledge, but do penance for 32 years. And then both went for 32 years. Brahmaji is 32 years. You imagine, they went to Brahmaloka. 32 years of Brahmaji. Of a Brahmaloka. That's a different time scale. Every planet has a different time scale. Here, right now in our solar system. Anyway, so people sometimes, this is all mythology. It is not mythology. Depending upon the world, the time scale would be different, definitely. So, and then 32 years penance, and they came, and then same thing revealed, Sthula Sharir Abhimani is Atma. And Sthula Sharir, how can, but he revealed very beautifully. He told Indra that whatever you are seeing in your eye, that is the Atma, that is Brahman. And that by knowing that you gain, and then both looked at each other, Virochana and Indra, and they found his image in his eyes and his image in other Virochana's eyes. Oh, that's my image is here in his eyes. And Prajapati told that is the Atma, that is Brahman, and by knowing that, one becomes free from, becomes free from sorrow, etc., and one gains everything. Oh, that is Sthula Sharira I am seeing. So Sthula Sharira Abhimani Vishwa is Atma. Very, very, very beautifully revealed like that. But of course, Virochana said, okay, that's what I am happy. Because Sthula Sharira is Atma. That is a Charvaka. Virochana means Asura. I told you that. One who gives too much of predominance in a life to a Sthula Sharira all the time. All the activities in the center of Sthula Sharira. All the time thinking about the well-being of Sthula Sharira. He is Asura. And Virochana was happy, he went. But Indra thought, no, this could not be. And then he came and asked and came and asked. And then Brahman was revealed as a Tejasam, Sapna Purusha. Then he came back. He said, Sapna Purusha cannot be. Because Sapna Sharir Abhimani is also facing sometimes so much problem. When especially a dream tiger comes and dream thief comes, he starts crying. And so has a lot of fear and everything. And he cannot be free from samsara. And then he came back. And then he was told that, Prajna is a Brahman. Then that also no. Because then Indra said, I don't know myself, much less I know the world. So how can a totally ignorant Prajna is called Brahman? And then very nice mantra is there in which Prajapati revealed the nature of Brahman. Evam esha samprasadaha, and etc. etc. So it was revealed very beautifully. The nature of Brahman or Atma. So Avasthatraya Sakshi has been revealed like that. So what I was telling is, behind the story, the Tatparya is, the purport is, Indra is something who will not just feel humiliated and come back and tell, well, sorry, even though I am a king of all of you, but I'm sorry. Who is that Yaksha? He did not. He instead, he stood there. He stood there. And he immediately realized that, well, because of my pride, perhaps this Yaksha must have disappeared, and this Yaksha is not an ordinary being. He must be Ishvara. Everything he immediately strike to him. And well, and then he, in mantra 12, well, he, there is a, he prayed, etc. And there the Uma appeared, etc. And then gave Brahma Vidya and told that the Yaksha was a Brahman. So you will find in chapter 4, the first thing is, Sa Brahmeti Hovacha, Sa, that Uma, well told, Brahmaiti Hovacha, that Yaksha was a Brahman, and because Brahmanova etad viche Mahiyadvam, because of that, in the victory of Brahman, you all were glorified, you are honored. Actually, it is a Brahman's victory, it is Ishvara's victory, but because of pride, etc., you did not know, etc. And that is how Indra was enlightened. So, this thing we will see it after a fortnight. We will see that. Mantra 12 and then chapter 4 mantras also. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.